Hey, all you Minties. Welcome back to another episode of Reelz Talk with your host, the amazing Amanda, my co-host, the Uncanny Omar, who is apparently really drunk right now.
No, I just
Clearly,
really like this episode and I love babies. So
oh
what's going on,
yes.
everybody?
Hey, everyone. And he did change the logo back. Actually, I changed it first, but when it's just me, you can't see the logo change until both of us get on the screen. So
Yeah,
he likes to think it's him, but I changed it. What you doing, baby? Sorry. My husband's on his way home.
He'll be extra. I don't want to roll off this couch. All right,
Yes.
what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be talking about Moon Knight, episode 3. And
Yes.
episode 3, we are going to be talking about spoilers in case you haven't watched the episode yet. I mean, if you don't care, you're more than welcome to stay. You're more than welcome to stay, period. You don't. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, so, if you're like me, you don't care about spoilers, then stay and listen.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about some entertainment news, too, later on.
Yes, definitely. And then James wants to know how I feel about cinnamon. Mm-hmm. Just the spice?
The music group? What are we talking about, James?
Did you guys talk about cinnamon?
I did.
You don't remember what you talked about? I only like cinnamon in certain things, like cinnamon toast crunch, cinnamon coffee cake. But I definitely wouldn't just eat cinnamon. So there we go.
Legend of the Magic Boy. Disney Television. Legend of the Magic Boy. Look at that. How are you, amazing Amanda?
I am fabulous today. I just got back from a family dinner with the in-laws, which is why we had to move the show back an hour, but I am good.
It worked out. I'm ready.
It worked out.
I am the most ready I've ever been.
I believe that.
Let's rock and roll, baby. Let's do it.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and quickly give an update or a synopsis about this episode, which obviously we know starts off in Egypt, which is where the last episode left us with Mark in charge of the body for now, and Steven kind of, looking out from the mirrors. So the first thing that we get is they have to go and find the location of Amit's tomb. Obviously, Harrow has already, I guess, gotten a location with the special scarab that he had, but they have to dig for that said tomb. So all of his followers are out there in the middle of the desert. I'm getting a lot of like Moses vibes and stuff, especially with his like red outfits. I think like they talk about like
somebody just took your baby.
Yep, that's good. It's all good. That's probably for the best.
Probably for the best that someone took your baby. Okay.
And so what happens is we have Harrow and his group. They're trying to, find the tomb in the desert with the scarab. They're starting to dig. And then meanwhile, we have Mark trying to locate people from Harrow who might be able to give him the information. We also have Layla, which is where the episode opens up. We have Layla getting a new fake passport. Apparently, we learn a lot about her right in these opening scenes. We learn that apparently she is not welcome back in Egypt, even though that is where she is from. The woman who was taking care of all of her fake passports, everything like that, kind of blames her dad for taking her on a dig. So it's clear that her dad is an architect. And that kind of becomes important later on with some conversations that Harrow has with her. And we also, come to realize that she is, quite a fighter herself. So she's on her way to Egypt. All the people that might attack her, she don't care. She has to be there to help Mark. So Mark is, trying to he finds a group of kids, young guys who are followers of Harrow. And we have this really cool fight scene that starts out on top of a roof in Egypt. And then all of a sudden, of course, he blacks out because Steven manages to take over his body, because now we know the two of them have this really strong control over the body. And so he then finds himself in a cab on the way to the airport. And of course, the cab driver is super confused because he starts talking to him Arabic when the original person was not talking to him in Arabic. So now he's really confused about who this guy is. And then he sees one of the kids that he beats up. heard that he was beating up on top of the roof. He jumps out of the cab, does not pay the cab driver. I'm assuming he never goes back and does pay the cab driver. Chases these kids down. And of course, he manages to catch this one young kid, and Khonshu's telling him, take him to the ledge and threaten him. So we've learned, from Harrow, obviously, and obviously from the brief interactions we've had from Khonshu, he is a pretty, I guess what's the word for it? He is pretty vicious, or he can be pretty vicious in a way, right? And he tells him to take the kid to the ledge, and he said he'll talk if you do it. But the kid doesn't talk. Instead, he cuts his scarf off and falls. And Khonshu's like, oh, I thought that would go differently. And there's also a very important part that happens in this whole sequence. And that is when he's fighting these guys and chasing them, he ends up blacking out again. And he's all bloody. And a couple of them are, pretty messed up and dead. And he's like, what's happening? And so now he looks at, and Steve is like, that's not me. It's not Mark. So now all of a sudden we've come to realize there is a third personality, or what we can assume is a third personality that is even more vicious than these other two, or Mark.
I like that you said that. I like that you said there might be a third personality. You caught that, right?
Yes.
At the very beginning, it could have been that third personality that wakes up with a drink. Right?
Yeah,
it could have been the third personality that asked Layla out too.
Or the third personality could have been the person who asked out the lady at the museum, which Steven doesn't remember. And if Mark's married to Layla, why would he ask some random chick out at the museum? But Steven doesn't remember asking her out. So maybe this third person did it. The girl, right? Yeah. Oh, where the hell? I'm pretty sure at this point. Layla is a version of Marlene.
Yeah, Layla is definitely Marlene. Which is something, whatever.
You want to talk about it a little bit?
No. It doesn't have to be comic accurate for me to love it.
No, it's true.
It doesn't have to be. I do have feelings and thoughts about this, but we can.
This episode or about Layla. Anyways.
Perry says that the show gets better and better, though. Better and better.
And now we're at the halfway point. So now our final 3 episodes can only culminate from here. So after they lose their one lead on where Harrow is, Khonshu decides to do something pretty radical to get the attention of the other gods. So we've come to learn. So obviously Mark is an avatar for Khonshu. We have learned that Harrow used to be his avatar, no longer is, for reasons really we haven't really gotten to understand or know. And he now is Amit's avatar. Well, apparently there are other gods, right? The Aenid. So then we get a great scene of him creating a solar, is it a lunar eclipse or solar eclipse? I don't remember which one.
Lunar eclipse.
A lunar eclipse. Of course, people are just like shocked. At this point, if I lived in this world, would I be shocked at anything happening? I mean, when half of the population just disappears and reappears in 5 years, I don't think I'd be shocked with whatever happens. Oh, and the big celestial in the sky, depending on when that happened, I just wouldn't be shocked anymore. But people are still shocked when, of course, a lunar eclipse that no one was prepared for just shows up.
Larry spins some truth here. Larry spins some truth. Okay, we get there, Larry.
And so, of course, this is then when all the avatars are summoned to go and have a meeting. A special portal opens up, and they go into the Pyramid of Giza. And of course, you get Steven. You see him in the mirror image, geeking out about the fact they're inside the Pyramid of Giza, because this is something that personality loves, right? This Egyptian culture, the history of mythology.
Would love to be in the Pyramid of Giza.
I mean, obviously that's all made up because there's no way they got inside there to film. But that would be really cool. So of course we see all these different avatars, not all of them, but we see several of them, including Hathor. And it's clear that from the discussion that Hathor's avatar has with Mark, that Hathor and Khonshu probably, and I think this is also legit in the mythology too, had some kind of relationship because he liked her music, right? So they have a little bit of relationship. So she has a soft spot for Khonshu. So of course, because all of them are summoned, Arthur Harrow summoned as well. Why? Because Khonshu wants to make a claim, and he wants to let them know, because we learn from the gods that they do not want to interfere with humanity and what they do. Does that sound familiar? Because it should.
Yeah, man.
It sounds like there's a lot of higher beings that are gods that should not interfere with how humanity develops and stuff, right? That seems to be a common theme we're seeing in the MCU as of late.
I just want to know who's watching everybody. Is the Watcher watching the Eternals and the Celestials? And now the Egyptian gods, like, what is happening here? It feels like everybody's keeping an eye
on us, but not doing anything to help us. We are just like these fish in a tank, and
we do need help, though. We do need help.
We do need help. We're like in a zoo, and all these gods are watching us.
What's up, Aussieverse? Aussieverse saying the show's been amazing so far. Amazing. Really like it. Why would you put your real name on a fake passport? Thank you. Another one of my pet peeves.
That's a great, interesting thing to point out. Maybe Layla turns out not to be a real name. Anyways, so during the meeting, of course, it is, we get to see again, Oscar Isaacs had to play now 2 characters, and now he's having to play a third, which is embodying Khonshu. So, of course, he takes on a different stance, a different persona when Khonshu inhabits his body and talks through him, right? So we're getting to see that. A lot of physicality here for Oscar Isaacs. And he's trying to make a claim about Harrow, trying to raise Ammit so he can unleash her judgment upon the world, obviously, which would be against the gods' plan of not doing anything, right? They don't want us to pass judgment. They're not a big fan of what Khonshu's doing with his avatar, having him parade around in his Moon Knight costume and just issuing justice out to whoever he sees fit based on their crimes. They're not a big fan of that. They've had their qualms, so this isn't looking good for Khonshu. But Harrow, because he is a smooth talker and quite effective at it, is able to turn everything on its head during this meeting and then start saying that Khonshu's abusing his avatar, saying that Mark is a troubled man with multiple personalities and is very sick, which causes a whole big thing. And of course, the gods want nothing to do with him. Of course, they never get to talk about what actually Harrow wants to do with Ammit, and they don't even care to try to get to the bottom of it. They just kind of be like, Khonshu, we're tired of what you're doing. If you one more toe out of line, and we will have your head, or we're gonna turn you into stone and trap you.
Word for word.
No, but if you step another toe out of the line, is what Molly Weasley says in Harry Potter.
Is that a Harry Potter line? Damn it!
It is
Harry Potter.
When Ron gets the Howler.
Let's just the Philosopher's Stone. What, man? Let's just skip this review. Let's review the Dumbledore movie. What the hell is that called?
I know I want to see it, but
let's go see it, man.
Yeah, we should.
Review the second one. And I don't even
we should see it. I know this is really off topic, but we should see it because I would like to see.
Y'all like how I intervene like Amanda's synopsis. Like I just jumped in there and let's go review Dumbledore.
This is a drunk Omar right here. And Rodimus Prime, yes, Oscar Isaac is top notch. Anyways, okay, so of course now Khonshu and Mark obviously feel like they don't know what to do, but Hathor's like, well, pulls her aside and said, well, remember, the only person who actually knows the location of the tomb is Senfu, and he hidden it in his tomb or in his sarcophagus, and maybe if you could find that, then you can actually find the map to her actual tomb, because the scarab's not really going to take you where you need to be. So that's why Harrow's kind of at a loss too. He kind of got to a point, but he's not really quite there yet either. So no one's really found this tomb, thank God, yet. Anyways, so of course, what does Mark do? He just starts going up to random people in the marketplace asking about this sarcophagus by Senfu, and luckily for him, Layla shows up and is like, what are you doing? I'm going to help you. And she says, I know a guy, and I think he has the tomb, and his name is Anton. Now, we know Anton in the comics as Midnight Man, played by Gaspard Ullier. May he rest in peace.
Amanda, I'm going to stop right here. I'm just going to say,
what?
These two amaze me. How did you know that was Midnight Man, dude?
Because I looked it up on IMDb.
God damn, you could have just asked me. You could have just asked me, man.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I was on IMDb anyways.
Dude, and the actor passed away.
Yeah, I know. So
it's really weird that the episode is dedicated to the actor.
Yeah, it does. There's dedication at the end,
He
correct?
With a moon like thing to his back.
Yes, and you don't know if he survives or not. So they go, and she pretends that Mark is a different name. Why? I'm not really quite sure. So they have a different name. They go to try to look at this to the sarcophagus, and she manages to pull Anton away. She's like, "Go get Steven. Talk to Steven and try to figure out how to get inside the sarcophagus to get the map." So, of course, while all this is going on, who shows up but Harrow? Because he also needs this map because the scarab isn't going to get him to where he needs to be. So, of course, then he shows, he manages to break the tomb and show Anton what true magic and power looks like. And then a big fight ensues. And, of course, eventually he has to bring out the Moon Knight suit. We get that awesome visual of the cape. I think I have the thingy that you see a lot in the comic books.
I got you.
Yeah, you got it. You got the cape, classic cape shape right here.
I got you.
Yeah, nope. Okay.
Nope,
This one.
Why
the classic moon shape that we get from as he's jumping on top of these guys, which you got to think about this guy, Anton, like as much money as he's like a fake jousting tournament going on with like this Egyptian sarcophagus hanging out.
Is this what rich people do when they get bored? They have like fake jousting tournaments?
Yeah, I guess so. Also another fun fact about this scene is that he does mention, and we're going to talk about this afterwards, but my key takeaways from this episode, he does mention Madripoor. So this is the first time we've seen anything that's related to any other MCU property being mentioned in the MCU. Apparently Layla and Madripoor, not always a good mix either. So she definitely has a backstory, a history here that really demands some exploration a little bit. So, of course, we got Mark fighting these guys, and we see the bulletproof suit. We see the crazy poles that go through him. And of course, because he has Khonshu's suit, he has super healing powers. That reminded me a lot of him like being like Wolverine. Like when something just sticks through Wolverine, he pulls it out and he just like heals really quickly. It just got a lot of those vibes. But of course, then Steven kind of steps in his Mr. Midnight outfit, and he's trying to calm everyone down. He realizes that there's no point, and he's like, "No, take it back. And then, of course, what's his name takes back the suit, and he manages to, of course, relinquish a lot of his enemies, except Anton does go riding off into the mist. You see him throw one of his little moon-shaped darts at him, and we don't know if it gets him or not, but considering that he is the Midnight Man, and maybe we won't see him the rest of this season. Maybe there was going to be some play where he would show up later, but now that the actor has passed away, like after this show's over, they might have to do some readjustments with whatever plan they had.
It's going to be interesting what they decide to do with Midnight Man, because that is a big nemesis to
exactly.
Moon Knight. So I don't know what they're going to do, but it's going to be really interesting. Carry on, sorry.
Yes. So another key part of this scene before we move on to what happens next is while they're here and Harrow is trying to show Anton what true magical power looks like, which if Doctor Strange was there, then they wouldn't even need that. But anyways, he starts telling Layla, do you even know Mark truly? I mean, do you even know what he's really all about? Has he told you the truth about your father? So clearly, now we know, he was an archaeologist, and now we know that him and Mark probably work together. And I know in the comics, there's, Marlene's father did work as an archaeologist and was killed in the same place where Mark was attacked and was then saved by Khonshu in his own origin story in the comics. So there's a chance we're going to see that similar kind of relationship and issue play out here on this show, but not yet, because whenever someone says, "Hey, are you ready to tell me the truth about something?" and you say, "I don't know what you're talking about," it's always going to come to bite you in the butt. But I guess for Mark, he doesn't watch a lot of movies, so it doesn't matter. He doesn't see that it's always going to end up being a bad thing. So of course they have the pieces and remnants of this map, and they're trying to go figure out piece the map together and what it is. So when they're in the desert, she keeps telling him, you have to let out Steven. He'll know how to do it. So Steven decides to work with them. Mark lets him come out to work the map, and it's in a star shape, and it's a constellation. Only problem is it's a constellation of the night sky 2,000 plus years ago. And they're like, they didn't have star maps. How are we even going to know where that location would be now? And of course, Khonshu steps in and he's like, I remember that night. I remember every night when he buried that tomb and everything like that. And so he says, I have a plan, but of course, it's going to mean that the gods will, of course, imprison me. And so he says, Steven, tell Mark he needs to come and find me and get me out. So, of course, he uses his powers to have this awesome where he's basically turning back time by turning back the phases of the moon to get us to this night sky 2,000 plus years ago. And right as they are able to lock on the signal and get the location, of course, the gods who had all come together to do their thing and imprison him, they successfully imprison him in this stone version of himself, and the whole thing collapses, or they stop the whole thing, and of course it ends up with Mark losing his Moon Knight powers. So now we have Mark and Steven, and apparently a third person that we do not know the personality yet. But there is a third person who's even more vicious than Mark, who's also inhabiting the body. So we have three people, and now they are powerless with Layla, and they have a location, but now they don't have necessarily the means, right? We don't think, at least, to go and get to stop Harrow from raising Amit. And of course, they still have to go and rescue Khonshu. And at the end of the episode, Harrow comes in and he's talking to I forget which god's avatar it was, but he's talking to one of the avatars, and after they leave, he looks at Khonshu's stone figure, and he just talks about how, he tortured him with what he was doing to him, and he then had to thank him because of what he did. He said, because without that, I never could have gone through the amazing process of healing. And he promises to destroy everything that Khonshu wants. So clearly there is a lot going on there. And that pretty much concludes this episode with a what happens now kind of deal. But I definitely have some takeaways from this episode. So
you're very nice, man. You're such a. Do I even need to watch a show, or should I just listen to you give me a synopsis? Is what I'm saying.
Sure, why not?
Is that a sure? Why not? I don't need to watch a show.
Yeah, you don't have to watch it. I'll just give you. I'll just send you a synopsis so you could go.
I don't know how I feel about the series yet. I do know that I found this episode to be as good as episode 2, maybe not as enjoyable. I don't know. There were a couple of things that I enjoyed about it, and like the fight scenes were the choreography, I think, was great. Like, I didn't want to like the fact that when the guy is like licking the knife, Mark Spector just punches him like a bunch of times, right? I thought that was like, that was cool, but I'm like, is it really this type of character? Because if we're gonna, like, when he says, are we gonna fight or are we gonna dance?
Yeah,
that's a very MCU thing to say, right? That's a very Tony Stark thing to say. It's a very Spider-Man thing to say.
It's funny you mentioned that too, but I'll get to it in a second about what people say in the MCU.
That's been my biggest beef with this show. It's like, I want it to stand out. I want it to be unique. And maybe part of that is like, let's not make this your cookie cutter MCU show by having all these quips that you would in an MCU movie or show. And I still feel like I get that in here with Mark Spector. I don't know. I really like Oscar Isaacs as both Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. I think he did a really good job. Oh my gosh. And if that was all done in one take, somebody in the chat was saying, if that was done in one take, then there's very little people that can do that. I can't imagine very many actors that can switch a character like that. Very well
Yeah.
done if that was done in one take. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of like Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man, or like Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
With like the look in the mirror, like Steven's like, no, don't do it, Mark.
Yeah. It's like Gollum looking in the
Or
Smeagol and Gollum.
Willem Dafoe looking into the mirror.
Yeah, talking to the Green Goblin. Yeah.
My problem is, do I find any of these characters likable? Like, I'm not really digging Stephen Grant or Mark Spector. Stephen Grant because he's kind of annoying and wimpy, and Mark Spector just because I don't know anything about him other than like he's a badass
archaeologist type adventurer, like
maybe,
Drake,
but he doesn't
Nathan Drake,
kill.
or
He does not cross the line.
but someone else does. We've come to realize, and now it makes me think that
maybe we do have a Jake Lockley out there, or maybe something else.
Yeah, Norman is on sabbatical,
honey. Yeah.
So one thing I did want to point out. So when you mentioned like lines that they tend to use, and I didn't look it up, go into Doom it to look it up about who wrote this, but so when they have that fight scene at Anton's place, and Steven takes over, and he does this line, and he says, "Let's all calm down. Let's all chill the F out."
Yeah, see?
You all know, you've seen that, right? Everybody stay where you are. Chill the F out. I was like, that's the same guy who wrote Infinity War.
Was it the same people?
No, I didn't look it up. But that's like, when you talk about using kind of the quips and stuff for the MCU, if that was a recycled quip, essentially, Peter Quill kind of made it sound a little bit funnier, because it was better used in Infinity War, I'll have to admit. But that's interesting, right? I mean, I know it's like a common phrase, but to see it in like a property like the MCU,
no, it's a common phrase if you actually say the word. Hardly anybody says, "Chill the F out."
No, that's true.
And that goes back to my Mr. Knight, cool. It's an Easter egg for people, but what's the point of Mr. Knight and all this and that outfit? I don't know. I have some issues with this show, and we're starting the show in episode 2, and I thought episode 3 would pick up.
And that's the MCU, like, where they can't take it too seriously. They don't take it above, like,
right. It's
over
like
the edge.
They're afraid to go that extra. Like, okay, let's make it a little more. And I don't want edgy. I'm not talking freaking Zack Snyder restored the Snyderverse cut. I'm talking just give me something different. I don't want a quippy superhero. I get that with Spider-Man. I get that with the Iron Man. I don't need another one.
And you're gonna get it with Stephen Strange when you get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because he will quip as well.
Yeah, and it feels like that's just an MCU thing. And I think at this point, that's what makes Spider-Man stand out. Spider-Man's the quippy one.
But he's not, though. If you look at, like, well, I mean, we could talk like
no, right?
Quips,
but it seems like
in
everybody,
the movie.
Peter Quill does it. It seems like everybody does it, and maybe I just had enough of that Marvel quip to be like, okay, we got to have different type of characters. And yes, I realize that he has different personalities, but can't we just give him like the personalities that that are different from that quippy character?
Well, yeah, because Steven doesn't have to quip. He's kind of
he's kind of like jittery, right? Like,
he doesn't seem like the kind who would even know how to come up with a
Spector
solid comeback.
Is quippy when he was like, "Is this a dance or is this a fight? What are we doing?"
But I would expect that from Mark Spector. Now that was an issue
from an MCU character.
Well, that's true too. But or from like a leading man with like, my problem with Mark Spector is like, now we are about this is our second episode with more of Mark Spector, and I still don't see like what his personality is. I still see Steven is such a strong personality. Yeah, there's no quip in Daredevil.
Exactly, Perry. Daredevil did not have quips.
Yeah,
that's
but
made him stand out, and that's what made that show
so great.
Good, right?
Yeah.
Iron Fist, another great show by Netflix.
Why on earth?
No
now you know he's drunk. Okay,
no,
now one's going to take anything we say seriously
so
for the rest of
please
this
stay.
show.
Please stay. I was just joking.
Don't leave. He's not serious. But if you are someone who did love Iron Fist,
I'm not here.
Hey, I appreciate your opinion on it.
That's
yeah, so this was definitely an interesting episode for me. I was a little torn on how I felt about bringing in more gods for this conversation. Again, when they all joined together, I did get that Eternals vibe. Now, granted, instead of one big, long, boring movie, we get at least another 3 episodes to maybe do something else with these people and build the story out. So that's appreciative, and probably what Eternals should have been, was a limited series and not a movie. But I don't know how I felt about that. And going that route, trying to make this like this big grandstanding kind of epic adventure that it's supposed to be. And maybe it's because I just saw Uncharted, not that I'm trying to make the comparisons. And maybe, we've seen a lot of these, archaeologist turn adventure explorer type gigs before. We had The Mummy. Like, we've seen so many of these before. It almost starts to be
done better in The Mummy, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I was like, where's I need something unique. And the fact that these guys are, they're supposed to be a superhero, I thought maybe it'd be a little bit different, but I still get those same vibes. And I guess that's what really made me upset. And that's why I was hoping to see more of Moon Knight and less of Mark and Layla running around Egypt, even though kudos to, the set designers and everything like that, because I know Mohammed Diab was trying to go for a very authentic Egypt, something more modern, because I know he criticized what they did in Wonder Woman with Egypt. And so, he did not like their interpretation.
Wonder Woman? Oh, 84.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So he criticized that. And so basically there you go. Anyways, but I did appreciate, and I don't know if this is the reason they did it, was because
just saying, Larry, the drinking does not help tolerate the awful changes. Because I feel like there's this opportunity to make this so unique. But let me I'm sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
No, but I mean, I keep wondering if the reason they did the whole other avatars is because, so I don't know if everyone noticed, but if you go, I'm going to show the picture. If you're in the pyramid, you see that panther over there? That's Bast, which is, of course, the god for the Black Panther, right?
Oh,
so
in the comics, this is all tied together.
Exactly. So I don't know if there's a reason they said there's not going to be blatant elements of the MCU in there as far as.
Hey, we are
oh my goodness!
What? I said, hey, we are Venom.
Yep. Yeah, that's the portrayal of Egypt. Like I said, it's beautiful. I think it was well done. I have to give them credit because that's what Mohammed Diab was trying to go for, something more authentic. And I think he definitely nailed that. But I guess another thing I was disappointed in is that we've been waiting to really see him fight with the Moon Knight suit. And I know some people have issues with it. I actually like the interpretation of the Moon Knight suit. I think it's really beautiful. And just works well for on screen. I mean, sometimes straight from comic book necessarily doesn't always interpret well, but I think what it looks like on screen is pretty nice. But we're already 3 episodes in and he lost his powers. Usually when a character loses their powers, like Spider-Man, when you feel like it's earned where he's at that point where he needs to lose them. But this is weird where I'm like, we have barely seen any Moon Knight. Like the first episode, there was no Moon Knight. We didn't see, except for the very last scene. We just saw Steven bumbling around having blackouts and waking up with blood on his hands and stuff. And episode 2, we saw a little bit of Moon Knight, but not a lot. And then there was that weird fight between him and Mr. Midnight, Steven and him. So this is the first time we saw like an actual long fight scene with Moon Knight to see his potential, his bulletproof, cape and the way the cape flies and all that stuff and his cool Moon Knight batarangs. And but now it's gone. So I'm assuming all of episode 4, maybe all of episode 5, we're probably not going to see Moon Knight because
what?
How quickly are they going to? So as you watch that last scene, Steven was losing the suit as Khonshu was slowly getting sucked into his little stone figure. So he doesn't have the Moon Knight powers, which is gonna make it infinitely harder to fight against Harrow, who has the magical Amit's cane. So I mean, are they going to wrap that up in an episode, or are we going to go 2 episodes and it's going to be episode 6, which is the last episode, and then we'll finally see Moon Knight again? And is it earned at that point to see him lose his powers to get him back at, like, because this isn't like a character we've been with for a while. Like, Iron Man loses his suits in Iron Man 3, right? And he has to build it out of this kid's garage and get Iron Lad in the process.
One day where we don't bring up the fucking kid from Iron Man 3.
I'm just saying, like, it took 3 movies to build his arc where he loses everything, right? It took Thor 3 movies to, lose everything to become the Thor, at the end. You know what I mean? So is it earned that he loses these powers, or is it just, I don't know. It's weird direction for me.
So here's my thing. And okay, James brings up Moon Knight equals Batman. Moon Knight has a backup plan. For years, in the comic book world, we hear, oh, Moon Knight is just a ripoff of Batman. For years, this has been a thing. And the thing about Moon Knight that differs from Batman is that Moon Knight chooses to go out there and beat the crap out of people, not because his parents got killed, not because he serves he wants revenge for something, but because he chooses to do it because he has these powers. Whereas Batman, of course, his parents got killed, so he's out there, he's vengeance. And now throughout this freaking series, all I keep hearing is, you are the avatar of vengeance. You are, you need to go and do this. And I feel like they kind of missed the point of who Mark Spector was. But I still, I respect the fact that it's a different medium. You don't have to be copying and pasting from the comics. I'm going into this like I would a normal show. Like if it wasn't based on a comic, if it wasn't based on a book, I would go into this and I'm in this show, I'm finding the characters so unlikable that I'm like, I don't. Yeah. What is going on here? We have a super chat. Thank you from Common Sense. Is recommending the Book of Gogor. It's a pre-launch on Kickstarter. Thank you so much. I will check it out. What's going on, Joey? How are you? Let's see. I agree with Omar in the last review saying he wants more Moon Knight. I was so upset when this is his power in episode 3, which is
that's what I'm talking about. And is it warranted?
Saying
that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't understand it.
Go from here, and
I don't know where it's gonna go over here, but I mean, I guess we're gonna get a lot of street level stuff with him and Layla. But again, we wanted to see Moon Knight in action.
Okay. Right now, we are in phase 4 of the MCU. So expectations are high, right? Like we want to see unique things. We want to see things stand out. We want to see shows that stand out that aren't your pretty much run of the mill. I got yelled at the last time I used those words on this show when I was talking about Falcon Winter Soldier. But we don't want to see any more run of the mill stuff. We want to see things that stand out. And with Moon Knight, you have the capability of doing that. You have someone with identity dissociative disorder that you can do that and make the characters unique in their own way. Stephen Grant worked, but oh my God, does he get on your nerves for more than one episode really quick. That you wanted to keep going, and you're like, okay, switch.
Especially when he's fighting Mark, and then Mark, we get nothing out of him. I don't feel like I have no characterization.
And I'm still like kind of torn between when he blacks out. Like it feels like so one of the things that they've done on the show is blacking out when there's violence, right? We cut to a scene of like Moon Knight beating the crap out of that jackal creature. Cut, you hear things through the door and then he walks out. We black out when he is supposed to be killing those people. With the knives, like he wakes up and he's like, "Oh my God, there's people like with knives stuck to their chest. What happened?" So in my head, because you read comics and like Scott McCloud has taught you that you make up your own stories when the panel doesn't show you exactly what's happening. You're not fed what's happening in the story. And you do the same thing with movies. Whenever you don't see a scene in a movie, you play it out in your head, and in your head it's a lot worse. And I always go back to Fight Club. There's a scene in Fight Club where Jared Leto, famous for Morbius, by the way, is getting the crap beat out of him by
Did you say famous for
who's the main character
in Fight Club? Brad
not
Pitt?
Brad Pitt. Who's the Hulk? What is his name?
Ed Norton.
Ed Norton. Getting the crap beat out of him by Ed Norton. Now, it was done in such a good way that you don't really get to see the beatdown. You just see the reaction of people's faces. And in your head, you play out the beatdown. And you're like, oh my God, that was the most horrific scene I've seen in a movie. But if you go back and rewatch it, it's not really. It's really the cut of people's reaction to what's happening. So you fill in, these missing gaps. And that's what you're doing with the show. And I'm kind of torn in Moon Knight. I'm like, was that lazy? Or was that such a unique, choice to make by the cinematographer or director to make me fill in the violence that's happening in the show without showing violence? Because if it was purposely chosen to do that by the director or the cinematographer, then holy crap, props to those people, because what a way to show violence without actually showing
violence. Well, because it's still TV-14, right? And I think Royce said in the chat, we as fans want things different, but I'm pretty sure a larger audience wants to feel like they're watching something MCU which is true. I know that they want to make these movies as, like they've done with all of theirs, where someone some of my family members who don't know hide from hair about what Moon Knight really is about, they could step into the show and watch it. Good job. Yes, right. Good job, so Dan. Yeah, good job, Dan. Yeah. But yeah, so it's the violence aspect. When I think about it, I want to say it is a very conspicuous choice made by the director, and that is because we are still learning about these personalities, yet aren't completely aware of each other. So why would we necessarily, if we're thinking from each personality's viewpoint, why would we see what's going on when the other personality is in charge yet? We for instance, we know there has to be a third violent personality, and some people in the chat were talking about how with him in charge, maybe they don't really necessarily need Khonshu's powers to still succeed because he's so violent. And we've seen with movies like Split, etc., that if you with multiple personalities, some might be stronger than others, etc. So there's that to consider, I guess. So there we go. But since we have not yet been introduced to that character, like in the beginning when we weren't yet introduced to Mark, we're only seeing from Steven's standpoint. Of course, we wouldn't see when he blacks out and it's Mark because we haven't been introduced to Mark's perspective yet. So maybe that's why. Because once they start fighting together, where it goes from Steven to Mark, then we don't have those blackouts like in that big fight scene in the in Anton's place. You start to see you don't get to see as much blackouts. Though I mean they did stab him through stuff, and because that was pretty violent. It wasn't like Deadpool level, cutting things off and watching it grow back at a tiny pace.
You said this was rated TV-14?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So
they're not pushing it hard enough to be TV-14.
We haven't seen the last 3 episodes yet.
For Disney Plus in America. I know overseas is a different thing. So this is supposed to be a 6-episode miniseries.
Yes.
And I just saw that Hawkeye and this are just meant to be a miniseries. There's not
limited series. Yeah.
Okay. So we got 3 more episodes to wrap up this story of this complex character of Mark Spector, who not only has 3 different personalities, maybe, I don't know, but also is the avatar of vengeance for an Egyptian god, and we haven't even seen that origin yet, which I assume we will.
Because now that Harrow's brought up Layla's father, we can only assume that that's because in the comics, right, her Marlene father was an archaeologist. Yeah. So we can only assume that there's going to be some part of that origin story littered in here at some point, because that's going to be a loose end that has to get wrapped up at some point if this is a limited series. And of course, whatever happens to Harrow, and of course, what about Harrow's reasoning behind why he's so against Khonshu?
I don't even I don't even know how much of an antagonist Harrow is, other than the fact that he's like, killing old ladies in the street going, I'm sorry, you just don't get to see
Yeah, he's
his
dueling out
resurrection.
justice where it doesn't need to be dueled out. Yeah, he seems like
Oh, look at we are Venom. Frenchie is no wait. There was an Easter egg in the first
yes,
episode that mentioned Frenchie in his
there
phone.
was in his phone. But yeah, I
That's about
mean, Harrow did say he enjoyed dueling out the justice too much. He did admit that to Khonshu. So there is a piece of him that has that darkness in him. So maybe we're going to see it come out in the last 2 episodes or something where he goes full villain mode. And it's not this peaceful, calm, religious type personality that is trying to get everyone onto his side, because he's quite good at it. I mean, he's one of those scary cult-like leaders where he's able to convince people that his way is the right way, even though it's, like Steven said, killing children just because they might do something 30 years in the future that you don't know. So,
right. So as far, and I usually try to keep up. So I saw the episode twice, because I
me
try
too.
to write down my Easter eggs. And as far as Easter eggs, besides Midnight Man, Madripoor,
Bast. Yeah,
Layla pretty much being the story of Marlene.
pretty
You
much.
caught. I'm so glad you mentioned Bast. Good job. Yeah, you caught that. Good job.
Mhm.
Maybe the Overvoid, which is where all the
Yeah.
gods met. I mean, that's just a comic thing. Was there a code for a comic book in this one? Because I didn't even catch that.
I didn't catch
Did
anything, but
anybody watching right now or later on, did they catch a little code for a free comic book? Because I didn't catch it this time around. And I was keeping an eye after episode 1. Somebody brought it up. I found it in episode 2. But in this episode, I didn't see it. Oh,
uh
here we go. There was a QR code that linked
oh,
to his origin story. On where was the QR code? Which scene was that in, Larry? 'Cause
yeah.
I didn't catch it this time around. Uh, I'm happy that the episodes are almost an hour long.
I am happy about that. We do get yeah.
You can probably handle the origin in 5 to 10
You probably
minutes.
could.
No,
Yeah.
you totally could.
It'll be a flashback of some kind, and I think it's going to happen because Harrow's hinted at it now. It's been hinted at by Khonshu, so we're gonna see it at some point. Okay, here's another question I have about him moving the stars, right? So he never moved them back. So when he moves, basically
All right.
moving our sky back, does that
Let's-
change time? Are we like, is that him? Like, is he just moving the sky, or is he actually turning back time? And I like
okay, so sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm yeah, no, I'm done. I'm interested to hear your input on what you think happened
Oh,
because he stopped, right? He never he technically didn't get to put it back. Maybe it just rolls back. I don't know how the sky powers work that Khonshu has with the moon,
okay.
but
So for real, the only thing I thought of when I saw the stars moving was like, hey, we actually have an app now that does that for you. Is that accurate? Did anybody go back and edit this and be like, okay, yeah, that's accurate. That's
oh, we've an
I
app.
yeah, you have an app on your phone. We have
There you go.
technology.
But we don't know 2,000 years, like what the exact date was that Khonshu remembered.
Do you think
Do you
Kanchu
know?
does? Do you think Kanchu does?
Yeah, I think. Well, he said he remembers every night, especially if he's with Hathor. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I can only imagine though.
Oh my God, you're right. Ibsy, you're right. It came from Aaron's run. So it turns out that Moon Knight controlling Mjolnir, because it's made of traces of the moon rock from before the Big Bang,
Oh,
is
that's cool.
real. It's from Avengers 33. There's a lot of retcon that Jason Aaron did.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that right now.
I like
There's this
hated.
whole Phoenix thing that I'm not digging.
I like Hayden's response. Hayden said the whole thing of wait. Oh, is
No,
that
no,
something
no,
that Civil War 2 did?
Oh my God. That's what we should do. Was it really that bad? Civil War 2. There was a QR code linked to the original. It's real. That's how everyone saw it.
Yeah, everyone
Thank
did
you,
see
Josh.
it.
Quote from the website: Sally, there's not one. No QR code hidden here, breaking the pattern in Moon Knight. But you will see another issue of Werewolf by Night on Marvel website.
Hmm.
What? Dude, how are you going to start something in episode 1 and 2 and not have it in 3 and sneak it into 3? Come on,
Yeah.
man. That was episode 2, I think. Werewolf by Night 32 was in the first one. Moon Knight something was in the second one, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Never mind time when that messed up the cosmic universe.
There's exactly. All kinds of questions. But no, Hayden's answer is the best.
Larry's saying Larry gets a no prize tonight. He just temporarily moved the stars.
That's what I think it was temporarily. I'm assuming they went back, right? That's my assumption, is that kind of just rolled back to what our original star patterns were, that nothing actually happened. But Hayden said that he didn't actually.
No, I got it.
No, I got it. No, that was going to show Hayden's response. He didn't actually move the stars. He was just using Tony's barf AI for Civil War. I don't know why I find that so funny. But
twice.
Oh, Civil War is getting talked about a lot. Well, different versions.
Aaron done messed up event. Okay.
Aaron.
I still have faith and love for Jason Aaron.
Yeah,
his Avengers run. What he did with Phoenix. Oh my God. Anyway, that's another tell. Yeah. Okay. So overall, love the choreography. Thought it was great. I love the switching between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector. Thought that was a really nice touch. Especially, if it really is true what somebody said in the chat, if it was done in one take, then holy crap, that is a very diverse actor to switch back between one character. And I don't care if he's got,
it had to be, because watch the way he did it.
Because holy crap, that was great.
But even watch, I did it with when he goes from being Mark to being Khonshu, like just watching his body, the way it changes, like he has to change his whole everything to be Khonshu. I think it's just incredible.
I mean, I would love to see the behind the scenes and see him.
Oh, we will in the Marvel Assembled show once this is done.
Yeah. I love the fact that they're using, real places, real locations. I think that's great. I'm not digging the plot. I don't see the threat in the villain. A lot of the dialogue just seems bland. I don't know. This one was, I don't know. The things I did like was the choreography and the actual locations. Even the music, I'm like, okay, cool. They're using modern, I guess it's modern Egyptian music.
Trap
is that right?
Music, yeah. It's like it's Egyptian trap music, yeah.
Trap? Did you call it trap?
Yeah, it's like trap is like a style of music, and it's just but it's just Egyptian.
Perry's saying when he's talking in the car mirror, that was one shot. If that was one shot, then holy crap, he's a phenomenal. I mean, he's already. I always thought he was a great actor.
Yeah.
So man, props to him. And honestly, Ethan Hawke also great.
He's good as a villain, as this type of villain.
I still don't buy Khonshu's voice. I'm not and I like the actor. I just don't buy his voice. What about you, Amanda? What did you?
It's growing on me.
What did you like about this?
So I definitely loved the fight scenes. They were some of my favorite parts of this episode. And I do like I said, I still love the costume, which we were seeing more of it, and it's a shame we're not. And I think, like I said, I think some of the set designs, some of the cinematography is fantastic in this episode, and of course in other episodes as well. Just my main concern or my main issues I have with it is just that, we got a whole episode to really dive into the personality of Steven. And while that's okay, he's not the main personality we want to really follow, because it's Mark Spector, right? Who was the one who was in charge of the body, I guess. Maybe it was Jake Lockley. I don't know. I don't think it's Layla now. I definitely don't think that, because people can't be they're not playing camera tricks where it looks like they're talking. They're not playing a camera tricks, right?
This is a theory by me. I don't think it was an internet theory.
It was an internet theory. It was not just you. Yeah, there were other people who thought that too. But at this point, that would be really weird on the other characters, because not like when we with Fight Club, it's not the same thing. So it would be really weird. But
what else did you like?
my problem is we're not getting enough of Mark, and so when Mark is on screen, his character seems really one note to me, and I take issue with that because he is essentially a co-lead with Stephen Grant. And I don't think it's an Oscar Isaac's problem. I think it's just the writing of that character, what they wanted to make of his character. And maybe we'll see it more in the other episodes. I can only hope, because obviously him and Layla, whatever that relationship is, I don't see.
They're married. There's
I know. I don't
see. Married.
I don't know what I don't see the chemistry. It sounds like she has more chemistry with Steven than she does with Mark Spector. So I'm really confused about that whole relationship.
Okay. Thank you. I feel like I thought that too. I thought Oscar channeling Khonshu in the pyramid was pretty weak. Really, like most things Oscar has done. And I agree with you. Except for Apocalypse, right? We're in agreement that Apocalypse was just the worst thing ever.
Yeah. There was
thought it was over the top, the way he was expressing himself as a god. But then as an actor, how do you channel a god? Like, do you go the route of like Ghostbusters, right? Like, or do you go the route of like George Burns with oh my god. But you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you channel a god? Like, I did not dig that performance at all. I thought it was over the top and just I didn't dig it. I didn't believe it. And it's crazy, right? Not because I've heard of God talk, just because maybe because I've seen other portrayals of gods in shows. No, not Monty Burns. Not Monty Burns. At least he didn't give them that bell. Swear to me. You're right. You're right. You didn't get that.
Yeah.
What did you think of his voice?
Of his voice when he did it? Yeah. I mean, I thought it was, the best you could do to pretend you were that you are possessed by a god. I mean, I'm sure there had to be
hold on a second. LOL, Moon Knight, big pile, Disney woke BS. Okay, we got to come back to that because I have to know what that means. Can't believe people actually think anything coming out of Disney is worth the SHIT. I assume you spelled that on purpose. Was made on. Pathetic. Dude, what about like the Fox and the Hound? That was great. Who doesn't?
I think he's talking about modern Disney.
Oh, modern Disney.
But then again, I love Turning Red, which I'm sure he
win an Oscar to Drip Drip Drip.
I mean, yeah.
Are you not a fan of Latino songs, man? You're not a fan
or Turning Red, but that was a beautiful film.
Turning Red made me laugh a few times.
I was a great film.
That doesn't happen a lot with me.
But I'm sure you're not a fan of that Night Adam, I'm assuming.
We talk about how bad Moon Knight is, but where does this woke come from? What is that?
I don't know, because it is set in Egypt, and I don't for all intents and purposes, it seems it's not like
I don't
see anything that's like I could make some
and you can make out comics that have been.
You can make that argument with like
that comment.
Yeah,
about
you can make that you can make that comment with like Captain Marvel. I'm sure you can make that with
okay.
Amanda. Well, I'm just saying with some of the other shows that have been on Disney Plus that there's been some comments made, right? That people are like, oh, why they had to put that in there, right? So but I don't think I've heard anything on this. Maybe the vegan thing? Is it the vegan thing? I mean, he still ain't meat.
Is vegan? It's just I don't understand that comment. Like, what does that mean? I don't know if you're still.
I don't know.
Because somebody else said that earlier that Moon Knight is woke, and I'm like, I don't get that. It's not like they made him vegan. That's it. Is that woke doesn't even mean what it used to. Woke
I do like that take, Matt.
Somebody doesn't like it. It's woke. Whoa. You know what woke means to me? Like, I woke up from the Matrix. That's what that means to me because I'm old. I'm in my 40s, man. Thought woke was a good thing up until it's not.
Yeah, and I like there's a lot of people I think a lot of people are confused by what is woke in this. I mean, mine is the fact that it takes place in Egypt, and there's obviously probably actors who are Egyptian, which makes sense, and we are in Egypt. I don't know. I mean, did you want Matt Damon portraying a god? I'm like, but even like the voice of Khonshu is still a white man. I mean, I don't know how woke is it. Like, I'm right. I mean, F. Murray Abraham is a white man, so and he's an Egyptian god. I don't know. I'm confused now, I guess.
Yeah, I'm lost, man.
There's a ton of criticism I'll take about this show.
Yeah.
But that's not what I think I can get behind.
I'm with agreement that it's not good, but I mean that's different than it's woke. Like I don't get that. But anyway, I
think Matt's right that I think at this point people just is woke if they don't like it.
Omar is woke, dude. I'm trying to wake up. You know how much I've been drinking? I'm trying to wake up, baby. I'm trying to get in the Matrix. I've been trying that since 1999. Dude, if you're going to say stuff like that, give a reason why. Well, I think that's what happens, right? Like, things like that get said, and then they bounce because they don't have a reason why. Copy and paste somebody else's thoughts on YouTube. That's what I want. Then we can come back and have a reason. Not my Egyptian trap music. I don't even. What does trap music mean? It's not rap.
Trap music. I'm looking it up.
My Egyptian trap music. Moon Knight is not woke. It's just poor adaptation. Which, I mean, if you look at adaptations, there's a lot of poor adaptations in comics and in books. You know, it happens. Someone is mad. Not sure how it's.
So trap music in Egypt has been the counterculture, the music of the slums to spite new neighborhoods like Beverly Hills, the new district in Cairo, not the posh city in LA, and the 6th of October. The Egyptian trap scene feels like it emerged from thin air. I just read this on a website. Quickly.
You don't have to sort your credits here. You know
yes, cool. But there we go. That's what Egyptian trap music is, Omar. There you go.
I'm so glad you told me that. Now I can go and listen to my Egyptian trap music and know what it is.
Yes.
Moon Knight is not a white savior. He's just a naughty.
He is a naughty boy. And even like technically white saviors wouldn't be considered woke because that's again what people have problems.
I can't wait till the X-Men come to the MCU and everyone complains about being woke because they are.
And then you say, well, take a look at this comic written in 1978 and tell me if it's still woke.
Oh, 1978. Or if that would be the John Byrne era.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
X-Men. Nice, Amanda. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just saying, tell me it's still woke.
Trap is like what you find. Trap is like an evolution of rap, hip-hop that is new. Think future. I am thinking future. I always think future. Migos, Young Thug, Gucci Mane. Oh my God, there's a lot of things here. Gucci Mane, stuff like that. Okay, what you had me at future?
It is a subgenre of hip hop, and of course, there's different countries that have their own versions of it as well.
Hey, Amanda.
My wife.
Hey, Melanie, did you also drink on the AMA? What's that? I can't.
I only spent 5 minutes.
Is that Akira?
I found it because I wanted to watch it. I couldn't find streaming. It actually found in our boxes.
I'm so happy.
Is the Blu-ray player upstairs?
Yeah, it's upstairs.
Yeah.
See what happened? That's the best thing about unpacking. You find
that is the best thing about unpacking.
You find things you thought you lost forever.
Hi, James. All right, I'm gonna go watch it.
That's the best thing about unpacking. Okay.
Oh my God.
He probably just thinks it's woke because he read it on We Got This Covered. Dude, that's Amanda's favorite site, the freaking quote, by the way. Lance Morissette was the best deity back in I kind of agree with that, Larry. I loved her in Dogma. I love Dogma. Such a good movie.
You should watch her. I think she had a documentary. I know we're getting way off topic, but she had a documentary on Hulu, a little thing about her. Jagged Little Pill, and it's pretty awesome.
Is it about Joey Gladstone?
No. It's about her and her growing, how she became what she became, and what that album meant and everything. And how it became the classic it became. Listen to that when I was like in elementary school on the bus with a boom box. It was.
Thanks for making me
Alanis Morissette was my life. It was amazing.
She was great. I knew Moon Knight from the old comics. The show doesn't use the great qualities of the character. And I agree with that. There is a missed opportunity for that to happen. And to me, comics don't have to be, or I'm sorry, movies and TV shows don't have to be like the comics or the TV or the books.
Yes.
I'm okay with the difference in the medium, but at least keep my attention interested. And if you're gonna base it on a character like Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, Mr. Knight, don't jumble it all together and make me feel special because ooh, there's a Mr. Knight outfit and he's all quippy. Don't do that. Like to me, that's almost a slap in the face as a comic book fan. I'm not a comic book fan that's like, ooh, Mr. Knight, cool. This show is so good because
you didn't need to see Mr. Knight necessarily to enjoy it.
Mr. Knight, but he's not the same Mr. Knight as he is in the comics. Come on, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
do you think it would have been
smarter?
Do you think it would have been different if the story was scaled back and we weren't on this grand epic, like action adventure in the Egyptian desert, archaeologist, Indiana Jones, Uncharted, Tomb Raider type of scenario, and it was maybe dialed back a little bit and more like of a smaller plot line where maybe there wasn't the whole world at stake.
And honestly, maybe that's what they needed.
Maybe like the whole world's not at stake.
I don't need a bunch of gods, saying we stayed out of the humans' way when the snap happened.
Again, I know.
Come on.
Again.
We know you
These
guys are a bunch of pricks. We don't need to be told again.
To be fair, they offer the best reasoning. They said we abandoned them. And to be fair, that is what happened. So I guess they give the best reasoning. Not the Eternals. Their reasoning is completely flawed in a lot of ways.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And man, talk about not woke. I watched 45 minutes of the Disney's Princess.
Oh, 100%.
The stereotypes there were running rampant. Pretty wild. Dude, let me tell you something, N-Man 40. I don't know about Princess and the Frog, but the stereotypes found in oh my gosh, I just forgot. The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh yeah, in Peru.
He's out for Peru. They're so true. They're so true. They're so true. I don't care.
You still love it. It's still good. It's still good.
Whining about woke is LOL, but there was a scene where an indigenous woman said this is a safe space. Oh, is that what they're talking about?
The Native American that Hathor had inhabited, she does tell Mark it's a safe space away from the gods.
Wow.
But I didn't think that was woke. I just thought it was a safe space from their avatar.
Twice and I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I guess it's just a.
If Godfrey came out today, they'd be like Kevin Smith. Dude, did you see what they thought of his He-Man show?
That's true. They thought his He-Man show was.
I wasn't that big of a fan of a He-Man show, but not because of that
plot line. Well, that's what I'm saying. If they could just dial it back, honestly, I would have been okay with watching him dueling out justice and dealing with the effects of that instead of this grand, massive adventure with this god who wants to, I would have been okay with something a little bit smaller, almost street-like in a sense, like Daredevil and stuff which is why so many people like those. Which a lot of people like those original shows because of that reason. And it was very street level and gritty. Not that you need to be gritty, but you know what I mean? Yeah. It was a lot smaller feeling, and they tried to make it like a movie, but on TV. And yeah. Oscar Isaacson plays small. I mean, I've seen him in like different other films that are not big like Star Wars. So I know he can do it.
That might be my favorite quote. I've seen him in different other films that are Star Wars. That's my favorite Amanda quote ever. The Asgardians had a good reason to not get involved after that because they were mostly.
Yeah,
you're right, Hayden. All right, Panda, and anybody else that has seen this show so far, just rating episode 3, not 1 and 2, not combined. What would you give episode 3 out of 10?
Me?
Ladies first.
Okay. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Mainly because I'm really upset about losing the Moon Knight when we just got it. So yeah.
7 out of 10. I think you rated the last one 8. I gave it a 6. This is a 5.5. If it wasn't for the show, I don't think I'd keep an interest. I'd watch it probably when all of the episodes are out.
Basically, I'm forcing you to watch the show.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if it wasn't for, joining you on Friday nights to do this, I think I'd binge watch it because it's just
I wonder if it'd feel different binging it after the fact.
It
Like
shouldn't. It shouldn't
everything.
because it's
I
made
know.
to be weekly. It
It
should
is made to
not.
be weekly, yeah, and that's the
Yeah,
problem.
but if they didn't give an explanation on their non-investment, people online would have been, yo, absolutely, Roy. You're right.
Yeah, that's true too. Though
What's up, Chris? We are live at 10 o'clock, baby. We're live.
to be honest, I never really thought about other, like, if you just brought in Conchu, I never would have thought about what the other gods were doing until they brought him
Max
up.
is just hanging out waiting for the new Black Panther avatar, right?
Yes.
Agreed. Real me in the first by getting me to properly know and like the characters. Then in the final episode of season 2, wrap up the adventure. The show seems cheap, just doesn't look as good as others. Direction and writing find lacking. I agree with the second part of this.
Yeah, the first part.
I think it feel parts of it does definitely feel like green screen CG, but there's a lot of like actual places on location they're
they
filming.
filmed
So I
on
do have to give
location a
it
lot of
props for that. They said this was going to be Indiana Jones meets. See, I wish they wouldn't say things like that.
Yeah, I know.
Did half of the gods get snapped like the Asgardians? Good question. Damn,
it's a great question. If the Overvoid is just another place in the galaxy, there's a possibility.
See, I think that is a good point. Moon Knight would have been better if it was like Daredevil, but nightmares.
Yes.
Because I really thought we were going to go that route with this. Like, we're going to go to, like, you know, Rise of the Midnight Suns, that type of stories. But we'll see. All right, here are the ratings. What did I give it? 5.5. You gave it a 7?
7.
Amanda, 7. 5.5 from the Uncanny Omar. 8 out of 10. We were in Omni on 8. 5 out of 10. 9 out of 10. 6 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10 from my buddy Larry. Kid Icarus, 6. Kit, 4. Torsten, 8. 8. 6. 7. Still digging it though. 4. Episode 3, 6 out of 10. 4 out of 10. What's up, J-Man? How are you doing? I'll never watch it again. J-Man has his own show, by the way. J-Man, I remember talking to J-Man when we first started doing videos on the channel many years ago, and I hope you're doing well, brother. Haven't watched it. Hayden, you're just here for fun. You're
Hayden, I always appreciate you showing up, even though you haven't really watched the show yet.
6 out of 10. Just good enough to make me watch it and hope something more. Good enough.
It makes me
4
hope.
out of 10, 6 out of 10, not as bad. Less boring than the first one. Less boring. This does have some action. I will say that. This is action. All right, Amanda. Love your stuff, dude. Dude, much love back to you. Anytime you want to be on the show, man, let me know. We'll do something together, my dude. My dude has his own channel, man. And even though I don't have the time to watch YouTube, I do subscribe, and I have watched your stuff in the past, my man. Haven't watched you guys' review of Peacemaker yet. Oh, you need to watch the.
Well, he's
watching it.
Yeah, he's 4 episodes in, and he's like,
watch your reviews.
Yeah, well, he already thinks it's awesome. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers, Kit.
I'm glad you're liking it.
But we're definitely in your camp.
I thought you called him Kid, not Kid. It's like, why are you calling him a kid? Critics got to watch the first 4 episodes.
Yes, they did.
What the hell? That's only 2
episodes. Because Dan, one of my favorite movie TV critics, he said he got to watch the first one.
We usually agree. Me and that guy.
But he loves this and you don't. So it's really funny because he is a big fan of the show. But again, he's not like a comic book reader. He's, I would guess, someone said a normie.
But I'm not coming at this from a comic book.
Yeah, exactly.
At this from am I entertained angle. And I think there are a lot better shows out there, like Julia and Mix.
Yeah, you think it's Julia.
I love Julia and Mix, man.
We're just watching season 4 of Yellowstone.
Oh, dude, how far are you? Yellowstone.
God, where are we at? What is the episode?
Not that anything huge happens in Yellowstone season 4. Season 3 had the big cliffhanger.
Yeah, it had the big ending,
season
right?
4
so we watched the episode where basically Jamie realizes that his real dad was probably behind the attacks. We've seen that. Do we get to the next episode after that? I don't remember.
I don't know.
But man, his sister is. You know what's so funny?
Beth?
If you guys,
Beth, is that her name? Beth.
Beth. It's so Beth. Beth is. It's so funny to watch Beth because the first time I ever had seen that actress was actually when she plays Mary, Dr. Watson's wife, in the Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law
I remember that.
Sherlock Holmes. So it's such a really weird, different personalities because she's such a mild-mannered,
Well,
like.
I mean, they all are different, right? Even Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner's never.
God, I love his relationship with the animal rights activist lady played by Piper Perabo.
Oh yeah, that was so good. Look at you, man! You could be reviewing that show.
Oh man, it's yeah. And Beth, dang, she's just like, girl needs to get her own life and stop getting her. But her, I've made Corey because my husband kind of went vegan for a while. I was really excited when he watched that.
He's not anymore. Now we can have a cookout.
Yeah,
like a real cookout.
Yeah. So during the scene when they're at the breakfast table and she tells him that she's vegan and she's like, "Do you want some wheatgrass? Go get some wheat from them."
Dude, I love when they're sitting at the. I don't think you've gotten there yet. Have they gotten the kid yet?
Yes.
Okay. Has her and Rip, like, have they gotten at the table with Kevin Costner's character where he invited them over to the house and lived there?
Yeah.
And they're all eating dinner and she's like calling Kevin Costner out on everything he's eating. Oh, I love that scene. Thank you so much, Torsten. That's so sweet. Let's review Sonic 2 next Friday. Here's some money.
Thank you.
Movie tickets. I think Amanda and I actually have a plan next Friday.
Yes.
I'm gonna let her tell it about it while I refill my drink. Amanda, what's the plan for next week?
Next week we are Omar and I are gonna go try to see Morbius this week so that we could do a Was It Really That Bad? Because obviously it's been a few weeks since it's been out. Reviews have come in. We've obviously read the reviews before we had seen the movie. So instead of coming at it as a fresh take, we're gonna kind of look at what other people have said about the movie and then see if Morbius really is as bad. So if you guys if you're newer to what Reelz Talk, like the Was It Really That Bad shows that we do on Reelz Talk, we started these during the pandemic where we would take a superhero movie, typically a superhero movie, and we review it, the ones that are the lowest rated, and see if it's really as bad as what the critics and the audience had said. We started out with Fantastic Four 2015 version. We've done Phantom. We've done, what other ones have we done? We did Thor Dark World. We did Iron Man 3. We've done Amazing Spider-Man 2. We've also we also did the original Captain America, the one that came out in the 1990s. Trying to find that was a real challenge, but that was a lot of fun. Whoa. So it's a little bit of a different type of show where we are talking about our opinions after the fact, after seeing other people's opinions of the film, and kind of make the determination, was it really that bad of a film, or is it just, So we're gonna do it with Morbius next week, because we really should probably do something with that. Yeah, and then we could do some Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as well. Because it might be Jim Carrey's last film, so we should see it.
It's not.
He said he wants to be a family. I mean, I guess it's
he wants to be a family.
He wants to be with his family more.
Oh, he wants to. What's Yellowstone? Hayden, it's an American show. It's only one of the greatest shows ever. Think of like Kevin Costner's character in Silverado or Wyatt Earp or Open Range and just growing older and meaner. It's great. I love it. It's great. Oh, yes. The breakfast table, right? You saw it, Roy. I love that show. Let's review it for you. I've only seen season 1. It wasn't for me.
After season 1, as a mother with 2 future teenage daughters, I cannot watch that.
Can we? I cannot do that. Father with 2 future teenage daughters, don't watch it. It's literally a waste of your time. Morbius, J-Man said a 6 out of 10. Not bad, man.
There we go.
I can admit I am emotionally attached to the old Moon Knight comics character to be objective with this show.
I can see that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, man. And I think there's some things that are near and dear to us that no matter what medium comes out, that you're like, it's hard to be non-biased about, right?
Yes. Like how upset were we when we had such amazing Lord of the Rings adaptations from Peter Jackson, but then once
you mean like
New
the
Line
Hobbit 1 and 2 and 3? Is that No.
That's what I point. And then when they decide they need to milk the Lord of the Rings for all it's worth, we put out the
Do you
Hobbit.
remember how excited we were? We would text each other like, we were like, oh my god, did you see the trailer? And we're like, I can't wait for the Hobbit. It's gonna be the greatest movie ever.
It's such a beautiful book that did not need to be in 3 movies, but that is New Line just milking the franchise for what it's worth, and that's exactly what they're doing with the Harry Potter crap. But anyways, that's what Warner Brothers is doing. So yes, I completely understand where you're coming from, Larry, because I felt that with a lot of YA movies that have been adapted from YA novels that I have loved. The Mortal Instruments is a good example because I love those series that span several different series within a whole world. She's beautiful at world building, but the movie was so unenthusiastic for me, and the TV show on Freeform was not what I wanted at all. So yeah, I understand completely.
Have you seen the way Christian Bale looks as Gore? Okay, so we've seen the toy leaks, right?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the toy looks.
Toy leaks don't necessarily show the character the way that they are on screen.
Yes.
He could look really great on screen. And honestly, Gore, even by Ezad Ribic, wasn't the most menacing looking character. He looked like an albino dude with a black cloak. And not that's creepy, but actually he looked like what's his face? Who's the bad guy that we can't say?
Voldemort. Yeah, he looks like I know.
Dude, we can't say his name. Why would you say his name? Yeah, Voldemort. Right. He looks like Voldemort, right? That's who he looks like. And that guy looked creepy. So yeah, we'll see what he looks like in the movie. Jim Carrey said he would come back and do Ace Ventura.
What a weird Ace Ventura if Chris Nolan directed. Oh, Rankin Bass Hobbit is amazing. Yeah.
Near perfection.
I do love that.
It's so weird how much we all love the Lord of the Rings movies and Tolkien's son despised them. Is Christopher Tolkien still alive, or I thought he passed away?
He may have, but he may have been alive for when the movies came out.
Oh, dude.
We don't talk about that movie.
We don't.
Oh, no.
Like, it's so bad we can't even do it.
Should we do it? Was it really that bad of that movie once just to do it? I don't know. I can't watch it again. I've only seen it once in theaters, and I said
I couldn't even watch it.
I'm more excited. With the casting and everything for the Netflix original series, I am.
I thought that got canceled.
God, no.
Yeah, it's gone.
No, they've been talking about the casting for the last few months.
It's gone. It's gone.
No.
Mortal Instruments, Mortal Engines, Mortal Kombat, Mortal Trilogy. Dude, how bad, J-Man, how bad was that new Mortal Kombat movie? Amanda and I were going to review it, and then I'm like, I don't think I can review this. This is just bad.
Yeah.
Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution, Amanda, wasn't really that bad.
Oh, boy.
That was that bad. There was an actual picture of Bell as Gore in the back of the book. Oh, I haven't seen that.
No.
Is that with like CG on him, or is that just with
who knows?
Chilling.
Just be a good real.
The only good live action anime adaptation I've seen. Yes, thank you so much, Josh Phelps. And Battle Angel Alita. I gotta give it to Robert Rodriguez.
I did like
Battle
that.
Angel Alita. I wish that movie had done better, so we could have gotten some sequels. A trilogy would have been perfect, but sadly, I don't think anybody cared or watched it. It was Amanda and I reviewed it. We loved it. We thought it was great.
Yeah,
it was one of the best adaptations I've seen. Dude, is Northman out?
Yeah,
because I am so excited to see that. I'm excited.
There's a lot of movies that have come
out. Because I'm a fan of The Witch. That was a good movie. What other movie news you got, Amanda?
All right, quickly. Yes, let's do some movie news. Okay, so sorry. So obviously, biggest news this week is the death of Gilbert Godfrey. Died at the age of 67. Yes, it was a very popular actor in the 80s and 90s. Us young kids know him as the voice of Iago, obviously from Aladdin. And
I'm a young kid because I know him as the voice of
you are a young kid. In your heart, man. In your heart.
Shut up, Amanda.
And after battling from a long illness, and it's really sad because I think the last thing he actually tweeted was, the last thing he tweeted was support for Chris Rock. But before that, in January, he did.
Damn it! Was that really the last thing he tweeted?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Well, I mean, it's Chris Rock. Anyways. But then in January, he had posted a pic after Bob Saget and what's his name? Louis Anderson. No, Louis Anderson,
Oh,
right?
Louis Anderson. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, when they both passed away, he posted a picture of them together, and that was very.
That's the way I would remember Gilbert Godfrey, not support Chris Rock, which I love Chris Rock. I want it to be more influential, like oh wow, that last message was sweet. Yeah, I saw that picture. That was
it was great.
Man, Gilbert Godfrey and Bob Saget and Louis Anderson.
I know. It's crazy.
And then we lost like Seinfeld's mom.
Yep.
George Costanza's mom. Like it. I know this is an understatement. Getting older sucks because, like, you watch your whole childhood just pass away first.
Well, that's what we're doing. Yeah, our childhood is slowly passing away. It's happened early on when you see like Robin Williams when we were much younger when he died tragically.
Dude,
but then
that one made me cry. I love Robin Williams.
And you never know when you're getting older until you start seeing. Now I'm starting to realize like things from my youth, people from my youth. My daughter will never see like anything modern they do. It will all be things that I have to show her from my generation. That makes sense. Which I'm sure our parents felt the same way, but it's tough.
Chris Farley is. I think Chris Farley would have been one of those guys that. You get these comedians, they get older and they take on serious roles, right?
Yes.
Which is where Chevy Chase missed his calling. Like, I think Chevy Chase could have gone down that path of a comedian that had taken it because he can play serious roles.
Yeah, he could be serious.
Like Robin Williams went down that path of like comedian. Let's take some serious roles.
Jim Carrey,
1 hour photo. Jim Carrey. There's a bunch of comedians that start off as comedians and then they took a chance on that serious role.
It's true.
Yeah, the old live action TMNT. I love those. Who says they're bad? Nobody says they're bad except for the third.
Super Mario Brothers. We did that one. That was one we did with John Leguizamo.
John, that was a bad movie. Chevy Chase is so hated by anyone that works with him. What about Beverly? I always think of like the cast of like National Lampoon's Vacation, like Beverly D'Angelo, those people.
If they hate him?
Yeah, like because I've seen pictures of her and oh my gosh, Anthony.
We all know Donald Glover is not a fan.
I'm gonna keep quiet about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Donald Glover, but Donald Glover made a statement about the cancel culture and how it's ruining comedy.
He did, yeah.
But he did the same thing to Chevy Chase, and I get why he did it. I'm just saying, like, you can't talk about the cancel culture if you yourself caused the cancellation of somebody, even though if it was warranted. Hey,
yeah.
I get it. No, I think of like a Beverly D'Angelo over that. Anthony Michael Hall, like those people. Like,
I don't think he's ever brought it up. I mean, I think we may not even know until he passes away, which that will be. Gosh.
Beverly was so hot in Vegas. Can you just stop as Beverly is so hot? Because she is.
Yeah, she is.
Beverly D'Angelo and anything she's ever done. I don't think she's married to what's his name anymore. Al Pacino. I don't think she's done it. I know John Belushi had no time. John Belushi, that's right. There's some stories about John Belushi coming up, and Bill Murray. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Northman is not released worldwide. I cannot wait to see that. I did see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I loved it. I thought it was
it's on my list.
Favorite movies to watch. And if you haven't seen it, I was expecting an action flick, and I got a movie with a lot of heart. Hi, Omar. They ever gonna explain why he has two personalities? I think they're gonna explain why they're gonna have three personalities. Yeah.
I mean, I think that Harrow's kind of putting it that he is not well, that he might have that DID, but yeah, I think they'll.
What's up, Phil Owens? How are you? Never late, man. Never late. Ninja Gaiden is having a movie coming out. Oh, it's Ninja. I love Ninja Gaiden. Reddit has a lot of normal people that have been around Chevy Chase, and they all say he is a first-class jerk. Sad
some
hear.
people, it is. Yeah.
You know, and the thing
you never want to meet your heroes.
He's doing conventions now. He's doing conventions with the National Lampoon's cast, like Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, wow.
I cannot remember the lady that played Aubrey in the first movie, and Beverly D'Angelo. Heard all the women hated Jim on SNL. He believed women wasn't funny and shouldn't be on that show. So many feuds between the SNL cast. I believe it.
Yeah. You get that many people who want to quip and joke around, you can't say there's not going to be feuds.
First of all, James, there's nothing wrong with Airplane 2. Airplane 2 is a brilliant movie. I know it's not as good as Airplane 1, but Airplane 2 is a brilliant movie. Putin is Red Skull.
We bringing it up now. Oh, boy.
How did that happen, man? Chevy Chase admits he's a jerk.
He did, yeah.
He's him and not going to not be him.
Yeah, I did see a recent interview about that.
That cost him a lot of roles.
It is
a lot of like people not wanting to work with him.
Yeah, that's
what's the latest on Ezra Miller, Amanda? Did they drop the charges? What's going on with that?
I know. Oh, I know that the I thought the couple did drop the restraining order on him. Yes. So, and then
what does that mean to you?
It means that Warner Brothers paid them off.
It
means Warner Brothers paid them off. And then I also saw another, if you want to talk about other superhero actors, Barry Keoghan, who played Druig in the Eternals, and also is the Joker. He was arrested in Ireland for disorderly public display of drunkenness or disorderly conduct or whatever. Started a couple fights. He was taken to jail and then released, but I mean, at this point, these big corporate studios, you know, if they want to keep these guys out of the press, they need to do a better job. They got all this money, or does Warner have all this money? It'll be interesting to see because. So, we talked last week about how Discovery bought Warner Media, and all of the things that go along with it, including DC, right? So now the latest that's come out is that this Warner Brothers Discovery, which they haven't given it a new name yet, so we're kind of in limbo on what the name of this new conglomerate's going to be called.
DCWB Discovery.
DCWB Discovery?
That's what I think so.
God, that is a little mouthful. So they are...
Amber could be in trouble. Amber who?
Amber Heard is yeah. So, I know that's going on right now, that whole trial. So a lot of stuff is coming out from that trial about both sides. It's been crazy, and
oh my gosh,
be interested to see what happens out of it. But as far as the business world is concerned, so apparently Discovery CEO Zaslav has been looking at.
What are your shirts?
Oh. Yeah, no. I got it at Hershey
All
Chocolate.
I see is you got your chocolate in my. Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
You're so bad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Exactly.
You good? You good?
I'm good. Yeah. So they've been toying with the idea of making the DC its own content vertical. So it would have its own, within the business charts, we say. So this would definitely affect any DC feature film development at Warner Brothers Pictures and any of the streaming at Warner Brothers as well. And of course, also affect the creative arm of DC proper. And the reason they want to do this is try to, closely align all of these things to maximize the value of their superheroes, stables, right? Which is often compared to and up against Marvel, which is, of course, its own thing at Disney as well. And he has vetted some people before the merger closed. One person that was pushed around was a woman named Emma Watts, who was a former top film executive at 20th Century Studios and Paramount, but doesn't seem like she's going to take the job. But one of the things that a lot of insiders have noted is that he's looking at someone who takes the job not on who's more of the creative, like Kevin Feige, right? But more of a business mindset. So I don't know how it's going to affect our films and how it's going to affect comics. in general, but it is interesting that they are taking this route and kind of separating out DC from the rest of the Warner Brothers properties that they have and making it its own vertical on the business chart.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they want to revamp everything, right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Huh.
They do believe, I mean, they do believe, like, yeah.
It could be a good thing. Or is it too little too late? Or we've tried to do that before and it was nice to have these little pocket universes. You know, I don't know.
I think that that's what they're trying to do in the revamp is give more focus to what the DC is trying to do as far as feature films. The article I was reading doesn't talk much about what it means for comics, but Discovery, I know they've Discovery itself, Zaslav, really believes that there's characters who need to be revitalized, like Superman. They think that Superman has been left to languish. So we know they've talked about changing it up and Superman being Supergirl and all these things, or Superwoman or whatever. But I know they're wanting to revitalize that character. They also are probably going to look at using more second build characters, giving them the spotlight, because he looks at Todd Phillips' Joker as like an example of how that can succeed. And if they should go more of that route as well. So I don't know what that means for the future of the DC movies, but it could mean that we're going to see changes even more that we already do now to how they plan on deciding what projects are made, what gets put out, and why it gets put out.
I gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you, Cyclops. I don't care what happens as long as I get my Peacekeeper, or do you mean Peacemaker?
Hey, let him have his Peacekeeper. That's okay.
Okay, because I definitely would like that to not go away.
Kevin Feige don't exactly grow on trees. That is true. Kevin Feige is focusing on his own thing over at Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Yeah, and even he's starting to, like, as far as, you know, the day-to-day with Marvel product or properties, I think it was it the person who did was it one of the writers of Moon Knight, or was it one of the writers at Hawkeye that said, like, he really, like, has taken more of a step back from, like, overseeing everything and kind of giving them more room to play around, because has his hands in too many pots, so he's taking a step back.
Yeah.
So, and that could be the result of what we're seeing now. I don't know, with what we're getting with Moon Knight, etc. So, who knows?
Well, I did say that about Ant-Man and Wasp, and I thought there might be something, you know, where eventually we were going to get tired of the same things over and over. But
I did read a really good article about that, about the fatigue of, you know, before it was just the movies, right? But now it's movie and TV. And
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And it is a little exhausting. Even as a Marvel, you know, diehard Marvel fan, it is a little exhausting to this point, which I hate saying. I love that I'm not starved for content at the same time. You know, I don't want it to end up ruining what I've grew to love about the MCU. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you do feel really special and really, like, it feels like a unique thing of, like, following the story. If you go back to it, you're like, watching Iron Man in the theater makes you feel as special as, like, I remember reading Fantastic Four issue number 1, Silver Age, 1961, which kickstarted the entire Marvel universe. That's how special you feel, because there has never been anything like that in movies before. Making you watch the next movie, other than, yes, James Bond will return in Living Daylights. I don't know why I went with that movie. Or or you know what I'm saying? Or like Star Wars Episode 5. There has never been anything like that in the history of cinema that makes you go, oh, I just watched Iron Man. I guess I need to go watch Thor or Captain America or Hulk. Never. and there never will be. If they, once this phases out, like Martin Scorsese wants it to, like westerns or whatever, there will never be anything like that. It was the smartest thing, and the formula that they took from comics to make it a successful billion-dollar franchise is just unheard of. So, yeah, give props where props are due, man.
Yeah, exactly right. They will have to come a time when they'll have to reckon with changing up the formula at some point. And maybe we're at that stage, but we'll see. I mean, I'm still gonna be honest. I don't really know where the MCU is going in general. We've got multiverses in one area, but then we've got cosmic celestials, and then we got stuff on the ground.
Do we even have the cosmic celestials? Where's Guardians 3 gonna go? Is there ever going to be another Spider-Man movie? Like, it's all up in the air, and I wish we had a. When is the next what is it called? D23?
Usually in September.
Okay. So at D23, we will find out the next, not phase, but the next steps as the movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. September 9th through the 11th is the next one.
Got you. First 40 years of my life as a comic book, TV, movie was about 99% DC. So Marvel has a lot of room to screw up. That they do, Larry. Thank you for saying that. That being said, look how many hospital shows, how many police. No, absolutely. I'm not saying like where I'm burnt out on superhero movies. It's just like there have been directors that have been outspoken, of course, about the fatigue of superheroes, and eventually, things phase out. We had a Western genre, we had a war genre, so. We'll see. Yes, there's a new Spider-Man trilogy in the works, still with Feige. Really interesting. I think fatigue has set in a bit. The last few films made a loss, bar Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man definitely did not lose any money.
It's hard to say that, right? Because we had a pandemic. And I know it's an excuse you're going to hear over and over again. But
it's the reality.
With the pandemic, I mean, you don't have a lot of people going to the theater. A lot of a lot of the older generation. A lot of people in general are just going to the theater because, Morbius is at a better risk going to a movie theater to go see Morbius or Eternals or Black Widow. So
yeah, no, and in the demographics, because I watch a lot of shows, they talk about the demographics and what they notice, like movies, like the movies that have done really well for what they are recently, like Channing Tatum's Dog that just came out last month.
What?
Which is like a feel good. It's a feel good story that.
So Nicholas Sparks is a dog guy.
It could have been a Nicholas. I don't know if it's a Nicholas Sparks, but it has those feelings and remnants of it. It makes me feel like it would be.
I like feelings.
Or Lost City, which I really do want to see with Sandra Bullock and Daniel Radcliffe, Brad Pitt, and Channing Tatum. Oh no, I want to see it. I want to see it all day long. It looks fantastic. But they've done really well at the box office, but that's because there's demographics like women a little bit older than myself, for example, who are now finally going back to the theater. Because there were films for those segments that women would get a group of their friends together and go see those films. And, those things have gone by the wayside because people just release them on streaming and think, well, I guess they'll just go gather at home and have a glass of wine instead and all watch it together on Netflix. But you're starting to see like some of those little films come out. Maybe that's, what people like Scorsese want to see. Maybe he just wants to see all the highfalutin movies that only get nominated for Oscars.
I love Scorsese. So.
But you know what? It must kill him to see that the movie that won Best Picture was it was very, very limited release, and it was an Apple TV Plus movie. I wonder what his thoughts are on that. And even when you look at all the movies that were nominated, a lot of them were mainly on streaming services. So I really would love to see what his opinion on it and a lot of those directors who have made those claims and comments think about. How people are just viewing media as just changing in general.
He definitely is part of the old guard.
Well, yeah.
I love all his movies. So I mean, but I also don't have to agree with him. I don't think that. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with some kind of envy, like luring the people. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the mentality that you come from. Like if you really, because there was a magic to cinema making, right? And
Yes.
there is a magic to that. And if you're using this formula like Marvel has been writing on, then of course you're going to look down on that. But regardless, movies are still making money. And that's
They are.
in the end, it doesn't matter what you, I, or Martin Scorsese or any of us think, whether they suck or not. As long as they keep making movies, they're going to keep, or I'm sorry, as long as they keep making money, they're going to keep making movies.
Exactly.
They're using more and more because list of characters, so not as many people are interested in going to see movies. Once the MCU introduces all the characters they want to for the Secret Wars, and then reset the universe with everybody recast, so they won't have to pay famous actors anymore. Let me tell you, I'm gonna say something right now. There's only one person they should recast.
No, you too.
Yes, baby. Next time, baby. Where is my dude at? He better show up in Doctor Strange and whatever the hell that movie's called. Black Widow. Awesome. Black Widow would have made more money. Absolutely. I'm sure
it probably would have, yeah.
Scarlett Johansson.
Especially because it was released on the same day with Disney Plus. That really just shot it in the foot. Yeah.
I stopped going to the theater because quality of the movies have dropped to unwatchable for some movies. That is a good reason to stop going. I want the MCU to reach a point where someone has to watch 100 movies before watching the new one. If they did with the comics, why not with movies? As long as they make money and they're good. I feel like we're almost there between the TV show episodes and the movies. I feel like we're almost
to be fair, so far in the movies, I feel like you don't have to watch the TV shows to understand what's happening in any of the movies. Now that might change with Doctor Strange too, but right now, like with Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, and Black Widow was technically a prequel type of movie, so I don't count that. But the ones all that happen after the snap, I feel like none of them really directly affect whatever happened in Loki or WandaVision or Hawkeye. So, and right now Moon Knight. So I don't think it's like a necessity yet.
It is interesting. We're gonna have a Thor movie, and we don't know where Loki is, right? Because I don't want
hope
Loki
he shows up.
I don't want Loki to be treated like Shield, where Phil Coulson is alive in Shield, but in the MCU he's still dead. Right, I don't want that.
No, because I think he's going to show up in Doctor Strange too, so that's going to be impossible. I can't.
Okay, Amanda knows a little something. Big question is, what the F is going on with Sony Marvel not even looking?
I'm hoping that they're seeing how dismal their box office response was for Morbius, because they are filming it right now, so there's time. I know no one wants to change writing and stuff during the filming, but it's better now than trying to do it all in post-production, which is what they did with Morbius. I mean, how many release dates did it have? And I know with the pandemic, we could blame that, but I think we're also changing things up for other stupid reasons too. And that's why it's not, like, for what I've heard, it's not even a movie.
I was gonna say, like, if they're going to go, never mind. We'll save our opinions for next time.
Yeah, we'll see, because we don't know. We haven't seen it, so we're just making assumptions on a movie.
My buddy Atit is saying Lost City was a good movie. Okay. Remember how Spielberg was against streaming movies getting nominated years ago? He apparently changed his mind after seeing Coda. He loved it. Congratulated the makers. Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Old dogs can be taught new ways of watching movies. Oh, yeah, that's the same. Just looked it up. Shang-Chi was the first pandemic movie to gross over $400 million worldwide, and it did 2.9 times its budget. Not a loss at all. No,
yeah, I thought that one made a really good amount of money.
Black Widow did well too, I thought.
Yeah, it did well for even being like, it didn't do the money they probably thought it could have done pre-pandemic or without the Disney Plus interference, but it did well. I don't know if if Eternals did as well though.
Curtis, I'm the opposite, brother. Every time I'm in a loud, crowded theater, I remember how nice streaming movies really is. Just need a private theater for the best of both worlds. I love, to me, I get energized on opening night and feeling that vibe of the crowd. I don't think anything can replicate that at home. I love watching movies at home, don't get me wrong. But but you cannot recreate that energy where everybody's there opening night and you're enjoying the movie together, clapping at the same time, cheering at the same time, crying at the same time, laughing at the same time. Like, nothing comes close to that. I love that about movies. On my second screen, I watched a stream where they're talking about comics before 2000. There's some great comics before 2000. A lot of great comics.
That is good comics.
Is it called recast if Terrence Howard already played the role? Yes, it is. We're gonna recast my dude.
But I'll tell you, after our experience at the Batman showing, that did make me say,
both you and I went.
I really could have waited, like, because that movie comes out on the 17th, so this Sunday. You'll be able to watch the Batman streaming on HBO Max, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I could have waited until April 17th to watch the Batman, because that was
worth going and reviewing.
That it was, but that experience was god awful.
Dude, we both told those kids to shut up.
Oh, those
and
kids!
We didn't even
go
Will Smith on them.
I know. I didn't slap anyone. I should have.
Nope.
You're right. It's illegal. Don't do it. We've learned our lesson. Don't do it.
Crow is back on track now. Anything else, Amanda? What other news you got for us? What else you got?
No other real news. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. No, that's all I've got. It wasn't a ton of crazy new things to talk about yet. No major release changes or anything like that. It's pretty chill week, which I appreciate sometimes. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well then, on that note, everybody,
we're gonna sign off.
We're gonna sign off.
Yes, yeah. And then we're gonna see Morbius, so that we can do a Was It Really That Bad next Friday, and of course we'll also slip in Moon Knight episode 4 just so we can give you guys our thoughts, because apparently it's a game changer. So here's hoping that Omar's mind is instantly changed from his viewpoints on this show. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and remember to follow us on all of our social media channels at Near Mint Con. Remember to check us out on Spreadshop if you want some great near mint condition merchandise, and if you want to support our little channel, check us out on Patreon for $1 a month or more. You can do some really cool things, like apparently watch Omar get drunk on live TV, which is fun for everyone. And maybe even get to share that next glass of bourbon with him. So definitely check out the Patreon scales and see which one your tiers and see which one you're interested in. And last but not least, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint. Good night, everyone, and good journey.
I'm forgetting you.